All right.
If you're marketing online, you should be using VBout. It's a platform to manage everything in.
I'm sorry, guys. Having a little technical difficulties. Were you able to hear? George?
Yes.
Okay. There we go.
If you're marketing online, you should be using VBout. It's a platform to manage everything in one place. Email and nurture campaigns, visual automations, social media, landing pages, meeting scheduling, lead scoring, pipeline management, and campaign reporting. Make gorgeous emails from scratch or select from dozens of high-converting templates. Score the best leads and add them to automations to drive more conversions. Schedule and post to all your favorite social platforms with the best creative from Canva and Pixabay. Engage your fans directly and measure content performance in real time. Easily create beautiful, responsive landing pages and forms to capture leads and register people for webinars on Zoom or GoToMeeting. VBout combines everything your marketing and sales team needs in one place. If you're an agency, manage client accounts with custom plans and full white label capability. Marketing online has never been easier. Go to vbout.com and try it free today.
Thank you so much for your patience through my technical difficulties. But in essence, VBout is one of the top leaders in the marketing automation space, and there are probably about 400 products. We focus on the marketing stack to make it simple to learn and get onboarded with. We provide it with great price, premium support, and we have a lot of predictive and AI capabilities on the platform. We recently launched our ChatGPT plugin, so you can literally just run your marketing through command line. For example, you can type a command that says, can you create 5 social media posts on UX and schedule it to my Facebook, my Instagram, and my Twitter account? And VBout will do that for you. Well, the plugin will. So the ChatGPT will come up with the content, and our API integration to the plugin will literally just schedule these things on your behalf. You can do more sophisticated things like create an email campaign with content on, let's say, UX or any topic, and then send it to clients list, to September 2023, and schedule it for next week. It will do that for you. Now, of course, this is just the beginning. A lot of things you can optimize, but there are about 15 things you can run right now through the plugin. So really excited about that release. We also have about 14 plus tools working together from the top of the funnel, middle, and the end of the funnel. Usually these tools can be used individually, or you can use them all in combination to get the most out of VBout. So you can build landing pages and forms, like the video said, do that nurturing campaigns, send out emails, and much more. So we have about 14 core tools and growing at this point, focusing primarily on the marketing stack of things. If you are to measure where we are in the landscape, you are between HubSpot and, I would say, MailChimp. So if you want to upgrade from MailChimp and HubSpot are overkill for you, we are right in between those two. All right. Before I get started, just a quick check. George, can you hear me okay?
Yes, Richard. It's great.
Awesome. And thanks everybody who joined us again. I know more of you joined in after. Christy, I believe, and Dave, a couple of you joined. Blaine, Emily, and Eric. If I missed anyone, welcome. Really appreciate you giving us a half hour of your attention to discuss some of the latest topics. Now, of course, as I go through things, our progression is usually I introduce the topic with some general ideas that you might know, and we start diving deeper and deeper into each content. Please, any questions, keep them in the chat. I will get to them, I promise, and we'll answer them. If you want to interject anytime, also do so in the chat. George will be helping me. Anything from Facebook, I'll be ready to answer it too. Okay?
Yes, Richard.
Okay,
sorry,
I'm seeing something from Carrie, right, George? That's what you want to...
Yeah, right.
Okay. Carrie's asking, you mentioned that there would be something you would do for us. I think it was a service that is limited time. I don't recall. But really, if we have early releases or early access to features and you happen to be with us on the call, then we can give you that early access before anyone else. And sometimes it could be lifetime access. So with that being said, that's what I remember. The other service that we can provide you right now is our Academy at no cost to you. So George, feel free to share our Academy link with everyone that would like to attend any of our courses at no cost. Okay. All right, so let's get started. Today's topic is defining AI and user experience, or actually how AI is changing your user experience. I'll also talk about some of the ethical issues when it comes to using AI overall. So if I am to break down what AI does, which, I mean, we are pretty much oversaturated with AI topics and videos, but most of you understand already that what AI is. But AI and user experience is just the integration of AI in crafting user interactions, user interfaces, user engagement. Because user experience is not only how the screen looks like, but also how your user interact with the screen, how they engage with your customer support, how they preview your brand. So there are lots of different components to user experience. And as you can tell from all the tools available from AI, this user experience is changing. So we're defining AI and user experience combined together is just how this introduction of new tools around generative AI is reshaping the way that user experience is built, perceived, and also evolving, okay? And it's primarily, obviously, between the interaction between the brand and the customer, okay? I'm going to cover a lot of topics here, guys, so I would recommend you bring me any questions. I really would love to hear your feedback on this. Now, also, artificial intelligence is obviously, this brain. AI is nothing new. It's been for more than in the 60s or 70s when the first AI chatbot was created, but it's just the emergence of generative AI or limited general AI at this point, because it's still in its infancy, that's reshaping everything, right? It's the ability to do all these different tasks, from writing basic content, reviewing legal documents, generating smart chatbots, summarizing a podcast. So all these different kind of variety of tools is what defines AI as we are, the boom of AI today. Then these usually require human intelligence, okay? AI is usually automating, or now the new branch of AI is how you can automate all of these cool things that AI can do. This is the next challenge or branch or category of AI. From analyzing large amounts of data to create repeated tasks that do things around AI, like create a daily article and upload it, or summarize any new podcast that get released immediately without any input. And finally, when it comes to user experiences, the way that you can describe what user experience is, I think, depending on the person. But if you are to ask me, user experience is more of the feeling, the perception, and the reaction that the user feels, engages with, and experience when they start interacting with the brand. It's almost like when you see a painting, right? The first time you look at a painting and the colors and the shapes, that triggers a feeling in you. That's a user experience, except when it comes to online or marketing material, it's promoting conversation back and forth, right? So the user experience, as I would like to define it, is just the feelings and the perception of someone's brand, okay? If anybody has their own way of defining what user experience, please drop it in the chat. I would love to hear how you define user experience overall. And at this point, George, any questions on Facebook?
No, Richard, that's fine.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so why integrate AI and user experience? I think the question is straightforward, because marrying the design principle with AI is going to enhance the way you work. And I don't think AI is here to replace human. It's probably here to optimize the way you do things, faster way to get to the end result, which means more productivity, more efficiency, more time savings, and perhaps you can condense the amount of work you do in a day for half a day, and get the same work done, or even less than that. So marrying UX principles with AI is going to help you to create better user experiences. Just like instead of me, as one example of UX principles is designing screens that user engage with. Instead of me having to create every single screen, figure it out, test it, maybe I can spin off user experience just by parsing a command. And I'm going to show you how that could be done in just a few minutes. Anybody here is familiar with prototyping as one example. So this is just one way you can marry UX design principle with AI to enhance that experience. So instead of drafting every screen, designing it, which might take me a week, I can literally just generate a mock-up and I can get this done and tweaked in a matter of a couple of hours. All right. That's one example. Also, users navigate websites, navigate apps, and touch points. Learning from those behaviors, feeding it to a model, AI model that is, that understand what you're trying to get or what you're trying to do, can optimize the A/B testing, the user experience, and engagement of the website. And of course, when it comes to that is satisfaction, because of this entire experience, you go to market faster, you spun off screens and user engagement that's based on a large amount of data that's proven to work. The content is custom tailored in real time to the user based on your objectives in the model. That's going to increase customer satisfaction. So in the case of Duolingo, they literally integrated AI in that process. Duolingo, for those of you who don't know, it's a language learning model. So if you want to learn Spanish, English, French, Turkish, any language, I don't know how many they have, but you can literally just use the app. They go through a series of chapters. Each chapter is a bunch of questions. So as you finish the chapters, you can ask AI, like, to give you real-time feedback on your responses to analyze you exactly and where you are in the process of learning. That AI experience is in the form of a chat, and it helps focus on the mistakes that you make to improve on it. So this sort of seamless integration with AI, obviously, it's led to a better user experience. Okay. So that's Duolingo. If you haven't tried it, I think it's worth looking at. There might be a premium feature. Last time I checked, but they might have a limited function within their free tier. The other reason you might want to integrate it is easier localization. Localizing an app is part of the user experience. So if I am, from, let's say, Germany, and I log into the app, maybe I want to obviously have the language being translated in real time, not the old-fashioned Google Translate, but more in context of my own country into German or Dutch, whichever language I am visiting from. Maybe I'm in Japan or Brazil, and maybe some of the images on the site could be localized to me. If I'm logging in from South Carolina, maybe I want to see banner around, the interpret that's available here as a museum, or maybe downtown picture. So these images could be generated, and the content and the localization can be done seamlessly, also by integrating AI into your user experience. Mm-hmm. One of the companies that have done this very well is Airbnb. They pretty much translated their website. I forgot to how many languages, but they did pretty well. And not only that, but obviously serving the available listings in their area. That's probably not an AI feature, but the entire user experience was localized. And I think that's something that's attributed to AI overall. Okay. So if you feel like, you're struggling with localization, there are services that strictly charge you to localize your app and your content. Now it's easier than ever, and you will see a lot of solutions coming up soon. which allows you to localize a lot better than you did before. Okay. So localization is the second reason I would definitely use this. All right, awesome. So Airbnb supports 62 languages. That's great. Now, personalizing user experience, if we're talking about just browsing a website is one thing, but as you start using applications that you engage with and you consume content on a regular basis, obviously that's a given. A lot of platforms maybe have already done a good job with that in the past, right? Like Spotify and YouTube, they do have their own internal models, but now you can create a model fairly quickly. And I'm going to repeat the word model a lot because before it was only available to, teams in closed environments, and they will spend millions and millions of dollars to develop something localized to them. But now you can get that kind of middle AI, be it OpenAI or other, and it's going to help you personalize your app's user experience by giving better suggestions. All you got to do is just make sure you feed it all your content in one way. If you're a coder, you know what I'm talking about. You can feed it also what others have consumed, and you can let the model decide what is the best outcome. So this continuous feeding to the model and then suggestion can be easily spun off now, versus back in the days, it used to take dozens of developers, specialists in machine learning and AI to spin it off for you. Okay. All right, so I went through this. When it comes to decision making, obviously from an e-commerce perspective, and from a consumption perspective, like Netflix does this really well. It just analyzes the streaming, the behavior, the current market trends, reviews, your past interests, and recommends things. That's part of a user experience, to understand how you consume something, to suggest something similar. So in a way, this is related to the previous one. But overall, the entire user experience within your Netflix account could be different than the user experience of your cousin who has a second user on the same account. So they created that kind of custom tailored suggestion. And if you know, if you focus, or actually if you build a product around the main content you serve, the design of the website is irrelevant, right? Because in Netflix case, it's just a big banner and a bunch of thumbnails. And just by changing these, it's almost like you're redesigning the same website for someone else over and over, right? So you will see the new designs coming are going to be extremely minimalistic when it comes to layouts, and highly focused on content that will constantly be swapping and changing using specific models, okay? And it adapts to your own preferences. All right, I'll take a quick pause here. I want to ask anybody if they have questions.
We are fine on Facebook.
Cool.
In case here anyone would like to ask, please feel free to either type or speak.
If you'd like to add anything to this as well, it doesn't have to be a question. I would love to hear from you who is using a product similar to, Airbnb or Netflix that are doing something really great with AI. We can share with the rest. But I'll continue. The third part, or researching competition in terms of UX product person, one of the main things that you need to do is to create the SWOT analysis. You create a competitive chart between you and your 5 other products. And while it was always possible, right, you do it, you go to every website, you do your homework, blah blah blah, now you can just type in a command and you can display or create a table exactly like this one. So for instance, in this command line, it says conduct a SWOT analysis based on this table and present the result on this Moz competitors and present the result. So it went, it picked up the URL, it analyzed it, and then created an output based on that. So competitor analysis as part of UX is huge, and now it became easier than ever to just know the right command to generate those tables or charts or whatever you want to generate. And by the way, knowing what model to use, like Bard has a little more recent access to data. So I feel like SWOT analysis could be a little bit more up to date on Bard model versus ChatGPT. But that's just one of them, researching competitors. It helps you pinpoint your unique value proposition in a much faster way, because usually this can take you a week or a couple of weeks to put together if you have a very large competitor base. And the insight is very valuable for designers to understand a little bit kind of where are the weaknesses, the strength, where are the opportunities and the threats in this particular case, right? Any of you here have conducted a SWOT analysis or did comparisons using ChatGPT or anything else? Feel free to drop us in the chat. Dave, that's great. What was it? What was the example? What kind of SWOT analysis did you do? Was it like website analysis or do you mind sharing? I can promote you to talk, by the way. Okay, so just the competitors. That's great. That's great. So there you go, guys. I mean, one way to use this is just to kind of research competitors, but it doesn't have to be competitors. It could be other products that could complement yours, etc. So Wes was referring to the Netflix and Hulu AI, and then he walked away and he started playing some random low quality movies. Now my feed is cluttered up with low quality movies. That's true. And it just learns based on the behavior. There will always be limits to some extent. And these models get better, but you're right. Like, for example, I share one account with George, and sometimes I get recommendations based on George's preference. But that's just the nature of it. Cool. Mina, how did you use your SWOT analysis? What was it? Just competitors or some other charts you spun off? All right, some of you might be typing as we speak, but I'll continue. But thank you guys for sharing. All right, now when it comes to future readiness of AI is advancing a lot in its integration with UX. And marketing is likely to become a little more relevant. Marketing, UX, or UX in general. So obviously, this is a general AI market. It's expected to hit 1.5 trillion in 2023. Obviously, this huge increase, one of the fastest growing sectors in the next few years. So adoption itself is, that means tools available for you to create user experiences with AI is going to be more ready. Embrace AI early and understand it early instead of steering away from it. Many have kind of dismissed it as, oh no, it cannot replace the original user experience process. It cannot prototype for me. It's not going to do it well. I cannot design good web pages for me. And while some of these claims are true, it's the beginning of it, and this will only get better. So recommendation is to just embrace it and ride the wave as you learn bit by bit. Don't just completely dismiss it. All right. So let's talk about some examples of how AI can improve user experience and specific use cases that you can apply, right? I spoke holistically about some things that you can, why it's important to UX. But now we can talk about how in specific cases you can generate content and things like that with specific tools. All right, so Mina answered previous question. Thank you, Mina. Mina created a multiple competitor chart for construction companies. Wow, there you go. That's a very niche kind of area where we think not a lot of information is available out there. But it seems like you can do that. Very cool. All right, so one of the first things that you can do, and many of you have been already familiarized with generating content using AI, right? For social media. Primary has been image and content. We even have that on VBout. But right now, and it's out not on VBout, but as a tool, I don't know if it's in video that does it, but you can parse a command that generates content. And this is an example. All right. So for instance, you can say, create a video for a short video on 5 morning habits that will change your life. Keep the duration under 45 seconds. Start the video by introducing the topic. So literally, you just described what you would describe an assistant, and it will kind of do it for you. And even us internally, we are trying to experiment with taking a source of data, summarizing it, localizing it, creating a voiceover with our own voice, and then generating an audio output and eventually a video output. In fact, I can make you laugh a little. And again, these are early stages, guys, but I want to show you a funny video that my team created using automation. So let's see here.
VBout connects with YouTube, so you can publish.
Okay, almost there. Sorry, guys.
VBout connects.
Okay, this is hilarious. So prepare to maybe laugh or make fun of me. So this is a static picture.
Connects with YouTube, so you can publish videos and shorts at scale, as well as manage streams like comments, views, activities, and run analytics on your account. When you log into VBout, go to your social media, and from the top right.
All right. So again, this is hilarious, but it took a still picture. It generates some head movement. It was able to sync, and this is using the ID as a tool, by the way, and some external automation. And it was able to generate from my voice an audio, and then it just created the lip movement, which is horrible. But this is the infancy of it. And what's really exciting to me is to see this is starting this way. And it's using my own persona and my own voice. In this particular case, it's not, but eventually you will see it. These are using some templates and some general kind of media creation tools. But it will come to a time where you will become the content of the prompt. Okay. So AI will aid you in crafting consistent content that resonates on social media. And obviously, right now, shorts are the way to go. Reels, short form videos, they're getting the most engagement. And it's about images and videos. Before, we were able to generate content in form of text, but now you can generate content and images, content and video, and so on. And it's only going to get better. And you can get around some of the nuances also of how some of these social channels accept videos. Some of them might have a specific aspect ratio, size, dimensions. You can let these tools handle all those for you. So to come back to a previous point, AI is not going to replace you, but it's probably going to make your path from creating, coming up with the idea of what you want to create to actually creating it a lot shorter than before. Okay. All right. Now, the second example is custom automated bidding. You can probably start using that already to change the user experience. And part of the user experience with your brand are the ads that you create. And I chose this product because they started as a small company and they're doing something really good. I've checked some of their content generation, seems to be effective. But you can link that product to your ads, and it could update your ad content and imagery based on engagement, which ones are driving the most results, based on your competitors. So it analyzes things that traditionally you would have to analyze individually. Maybe send somebody to scrape, or tell one of your team members to scrape your competitors' ads. Go and analyze them together, come up with some ideas, send it to your graphics person to put the graphic together, then get it back to approval. So that process has been shortened by using some tools like this. And of course, the placement itself, some of these ad placements and budgeting, they are native to the products themselves. But because they will be biased, right? Like Facebook will not tell you to spend less. It's good to use some third-party tools to understand where the budget needs to be increased or decreased. And the content of the ad itself, like headlines or descriptions, can be optimized using this technology. All right. So I have Wes said that anything that can be measured digitally can be improved using AI and testing 24/7, 365, which is true, Wes. Obviously, using AI doesn't stop at like we do when we go to sleep. It can continue working in the background, and it could be analyzing and doing things for you, which is the beauty of it. So yeah, that's a good point. There you go. You mentioned ad testing and antivirus and DDoS and stuff like that. That's cool. All right. Another way is creating user personas. I've used this extensively, actually, in some of our analysis here. Beside the SWOT and doing, who are our competitors and creating tables, you can create persona. And you can even create persona of your competitors and just stack them side by side. So this is just a very simple way of, kind of starting your user experience research. And you can even interact with the results to fine-tune it. Now, the good thing about interacting with these models is that it has so much information already that it could suggest how to improve your targeting or even how to improve the product. I'm going to show you in a little bit a couple of examples as well. Now, lacking user data, ChatGPT can also help you define your persona a little deeper, create better segments, and even give you suggestions to places where you can connect with that particular persona. So this is a simple command. I don't think you need third-party tools for this unless they integrate directly with the platform. But you can create your personas directly from the model you're using or the tool you're using. Another example here is the ability to draft landing pages and websites very quickly just by using command prompt. I actually went to this tool called Mixo.io, and there are several of them out there, but this is a very easy to use example. All you need to do is just type in what kind of website that you would like and generate site. And immediately it will generate content for you accordingly. You didn't need a lot of inputs. And obviously there will be some advanced customization where you can specify the skin colors and stuff like that. And you can say, I want this website focused on conversions or focused on maybe just content consumption or whatever. And eventually, just by this command, it generated a very simple web page for me. Okay. I mean, this is part of the user experience. If you're creating a product, it has to have a first page as a starting point. Many of you might say, oh, I could have done this already by buying a theme. Sure. But now you can generate this and then do a follow-up command to change the copy based on your preference, right? So spinning off a web page can be done a lot easier than before, okay? And of course, if we are to summarize a little bit, a couple of things I mentioned, the imagery itself, if you're not really focused on, let's say, a snapshot of your product, it can be third-party and generated on the go. Okay, so this is a very basic example of, creating a front-end page to your user experience. That could start with a prompt. All right, now when it comes to automation, which, automation is only a part of the user experience. It interacts with your clients via different communication channels, be it email, be it SMS, be it web push, be it WhatsApp or whatever. So that content can be generated. And now in VBot, we have a tool for that. You can generate your SMS copy, your email copy directly. But eventually you'll be able to just have an automated system that create those details for you on the go and personalize it to the person. Okay. So kind of the other things that you can do is analyze the intent, and according to the intent, spin off another content. So this is a very basic. AI has been changing the way content is created in any marketing automation platform, really, that understand that people rely on AI to generate those email copies. You can use it already in chatbots. Chatbot is another way to interact with your customers. And I love this because there are so many use cases for it. It replaces the need to have a human sitting on the other side answering some basic questions. And you can even take it deeper to kind of connect with your own database and do things on your behalf, especially when it comes to, let's say, e-commerce. I was fascinated last time. I bought something online I didn't like. I wanted to return it. So I went to my account and I said, I would like to return a product. So when I clicked return, it opened the prompt, and the product was, the chatbot was like, okay, was it this recent order or the one before? So it gave me like 2 orders. I typed the order number 1 and immediately gave me the total, and then breakdown of the 2 things I bought. Which one would you like to refund? I chose 1, and it says confirm, and it's done, right? The refund was already done, and I got everything refunded to me in just a second. That's amazing. Before I had to wait, I had to go through this email chain, open a ticket. Amazon returns, how it works. But right now you can literally just plug in your information to a chatbot, and the chatbot can take care of the rest for you. Okay. Obviously, it's sophisticated enough to kind of engage and interact and behave in a very consistent manner. Many of you might have interacted with a team, chat team that wasn't consistent, wasn't nice enough, grammar mistakes, localization also with the language. A lot of these things can be handled. These are, in some support teams, they need to craft different roles in the company that handle this kind of stuff. Now it can be done a lot easier, a lot faster, and it can be more efficient because it taps into your data sources and your databases. So command chatbot is one of them. We have it in VBot, create an email campaign, create a social media. But you can do it for your own product as well, as long as you have a well-defined API. You can do scheduler online where people say, hey, I'm interested in speaking to someone on your team. The chatbot checks your availability from your calendar. It says, okay, are you available on Monday, 3 p.m. or Tuesday, 4 a.m., whatever. And you choose the time and it books you immediately. Right? That is usually done through Calendly-like product, but now you can do it directly via the bot itself. And while before there were products that allow you to do that, it was a little bit costly, it's a little bit kind of complex, and it wasn't as smart and localized as well. But with this, you can handle that. And finally, you can turn your own documentation and knowledge base and ingest it into a model and let the model create those responses for you. We added this feature on VBot. I'll probably announce it again next month, but under our white label feature, we created an option under branding where you can disable our AI and ingest your own RSS feeds from your blog, from your knowledge base. So the chatbot itself will only answer based on your knowledge base. Okay, this is a really important release for us because we understand our clients, especially white label agency, they want to be able to do that. is to provide that white label support based on their own content. So that's a very simplified way of turning your own RSS feed into a chatbot. All right. I'll take a quick pause here to ask if anybody have questions. I know I've been going on a lot on the chatbot part. George, any questions?
No, we just have Kazim from Facebook. He's happy and he said awesome.
Hey, Kazim, thanks for joining us. All right, I'll continue. We also have the ability to do A/B testing and optimize your content on the go. A/B testing is nothing new, but the beauty right now is that you can create media efficiently on the go based on the results. And while before it was A, B, check the variant, which one wins, and accordingly display that version, now the variables, the copy, the media, and all can be fully automated. Okay, and it's part of A/B testing. That's user engagement with the website, but it could also apply to using your apps, could also apply to your automations, and many more as well. Okay, I know Netflix do very well in using A/B testing for their content recommendation algorithm, and it helps reach the right viewer so they could consume more and more content. I also want to share prototyping. This is rapid prototyping is, I mean, and I cannot tell you how much money and how much time this can cost somebody. But there's this new model which haven't launched to everyone on ChatGPT. It's I think OpenAI Vision or something like that. But you can literally take a picture of a mock-up that you can do with your hand, including in this particular case, the arrow, right? To display the logic. And this in turn will, you can, below the image you see right here, it says, you are an expert software developer. This is my team's whiteboard session. You need to write the code for this Next.js and Tailwind CSS and think step by step how you will do this and write the complete code for it. And it literally just wrote an entire code piece that did this flow. The first was the name and the arrow realized that this is swapping. Okay, so put the name as the first. So the first thing was name, and then it asked for the email and then the age. So it literally understood exactly what's in this mockup, and it turned it into the code, which you can run, can amplify, and do a lot better. So wireframing is going to be extremely, extremely simple. Already there are tools out there that do that. So let me show you an example of a tool. I already pulled up and I took some snapshots. All right. So in this tool, you can, well, not this one. Okay, so you write a command. I'll share the name of this tool. It says, I want you to create a booking app to rent vacation homes for parties. Okay, I'm literally wireframing right now. You can say this, describe a design style, pick a keyword or both, green, and there are some other configuration to kind of specify your color palette and stuff like that. And this literally will go and create prototypes for you that will look something like this. Okay. Again, if you're a developer, if you're a designer, if you are user experience researcher, you understand what these are. And although they're far from perfect, but it did it for you. This is a lot of work for many of us to create those with proper aspect ratio and for different screens and different elements and the icons. So if you want to create something very basic for a client, maybe you're building an app for somebody. Before you start developing it, this could be done in just a matter of hours by creating the command, parsing it to this tool, which is called usered, and then you can come up with this end result. And you can change the color, you can change the flow, and you can obviously swap the photos. Okay. So I guess what I'm trying to say is prototyping will become super easy, be it by using a prototyping tool like the one I just showed you. And let me just pull them up so you know exactly which one is it. I believe it's this one called UI. I'll put in the chat. I'm not affiliated, so this is just for you. And again, you create a project, let's say mobile, and then it asks you very basic questions and ultimately generate the output. Okay, that's it. That's for prototyping. A very nice tool to have. But I'm really waiting for this ChatGPT image model, because there are a lot of things we can do, from notes to wireframing, drawing things on a piece of paper, and generate codes from it. So many of us who never touched the code before now will be able to come up with a fully fledged code base for a very small application. Pretty interesting. All right. Any questions on this before I continue? I have a couple more slides and then the last section of this presentation.
Richard, just question from Mina. I already sent her the documentation, but she's asking regarding the AI-powered chat command. Is it launched or it's still kind of pre-launch?
It's available. You need to add your own API key, however, from OpenAI. So if you have that, just follow the prompt there. And it chooses your own API key, primarily because it learns and it has this kind of long training model that you can improve on over time. And it's very costly to us at scale. To you, it's probably going to cost you a few cents a month, but for us, because we have thousands of clients, it will add up to potentially tens of thousands of dollars per month. So with that being said, we decided in the initial phases to offset that cost onto you, and you can add your own key and you can use it as you see fit. Okay. All right.
John said he's used to create some CSS video titles and even wrote some JavaScript code live on an Elementor meeting to fix a question.
Love it. Yeah, I mean, these are very basic things, right? Before you Googled, then you got to, I don't know, SourceForge or some other third-party GitHub tools and GitHub repos, and then you have to test it. Now, it's a lot simpler. Now you can do prototyping in so many different ways as well. And I'm going to give you this secret tool that we can use. I've been using it for some basic presentations. But you can tell ChatGPT to write some basic presentations for you. I know there are tools that do it, and they create like nice looking designs and stuff like that. I'm sorry, I have so many things open here. Just close these up. All right, I think it's right here. But one command that I think it's really powerful to know inside ChatGPT is the ability to create a command on something. Not a command, I apologize. There we go. New chat. So you can say create the presentation. And this is not how we did this. We actually did some research extensively, relied a little bit on ChatGPT, but overall on UX and I don't know, peace in the Middle East. And make it 10 slides. Okay, so this is an example of, I gave it the command. It gave me the code, or this is just an outline, which many of you are familiar with, right? So I'm just going to let it run. I asked for 10 slides. And the next thing I did, or I can do, is I can say, create the VBA code for this presentation. All right. Make it complete VBA code with proper new line. All right, and send the command. So that's going to create the code for my PowerPoint presentation. And I can take this code and import it into my slides and literally just create the entire slide format instead of having to, you know, copy this on page 1 and on page 2 and then on page 3. That on its own is such an easier way to present content. And we're talking about user experience, right? That could be part of your presentation of things. All right, I'll let it run for now, but overall, any questions, George?
Yes, Peter is asking, do you know when OpenAI will come up with that new feature? I think he was referring to the prototyping.
Vision 1. The Vision 1 is out for beta users. I'm not sure when it comes out for everybody else. I don't personally have it yet. We are one of the first adopters. We've been using OpenAI and their systems for about 2.5 years, but we haven't gotten it yet. So we'll see. I'll probably expect it to come out in the next 3 months. Right now, they enabled, you know, few different options. Let me see here. So the browse with Bing, advanced data analysis, DALL-E 3 has came out, which creates some amazing imagery. Yeah. But let's say now with DALL-E 3, what I can do is, you know, hover here, it shows you the model, right? And I can say, create a sample dashboard layout for an email app. I don't know if this is okay. So let's see if this is going to generate a prototype. Honestly, this is my first time using this, so I'm getting fascinated right now as I'm looking at this. I guess it's generating individual elements here. Wow. All right, just gonna give it a second here. Thank you for your patience. All right. Well, it's not the best, but as you can see, it's something, right? And you can fine tune the commands, I guess, to make it a little bit minimalistic, give it a specific color. You know, can you give me the code in Jazz or and probably in the future it can. So all in all, I mean, you see how fast prototyping is. All right, I'll stop here. It's getting me too excited and I'm taking up the rest of the time. But the rest is automating tasks on things like Photoshop. A lot of photographers have been adopting these and image editors because that's not going anywhere. That's still there. There are some really sophisticated photo editing that needs to be done on that front. And they integrated tools and libraries within Photoshop and, you know, Lightroom and others that's going to help tremendously by removing objects from the screen or animating actual objects by creating movements. So you'll see a lot of these tools. Many of you have probably read some research released by MIT and others, creating very basic AI movement from still images or turning videos into, you know, cleaner by removing objects in the background and stuff like that. You know, color correction, cropping, you know, like crop and remove hands and not that. These are things we're blind before, but AI can now identify these things and keep them within the frame. Okay. Customizing interface. I just talked about this a little bit, that you can literally just create a customized interface. Sorry. With the simple command, you can even do it via tools, which I showed you a prototyping example, or even the website. You can create a web page specifically for, around the specific intent. Cool. All right. This is the last part, guys. I'm sorry I spilled off a little bit, but we want to talk about some of the ethical challenges of adopting AI. And although this applies to UX, but this also applies for everything. So one of the first thing is the bias in data. And during some research done amongst tech leaders, the concerns about AI bias among tech leaders, 56% loss of customer trust. So if you're overutilizing AI, you might be losing clients, because people are starting to realize that everything is AI, this brand is non-existent, there's just one person operator. Maybe we need to, move to a company that has a team behind it. The brand reputation is at stake because you're relying on engines to respond. The regulatory scrutiny, or actually a lot of regulations coming up, and some tools are more biased than others as well. Employee trust, because some employees are feeling like they could be easily replaced. Not to mention the ethics, some lawsuits, companies facing lawsuits by utilizing the product or providing wrong answers or faulty responses, causing problems. So overall, these systems can be biased. So you have to be very careful on how you use them, because it could impact your reputation. Also, lack of transparency. We don't know exactly how these were trained. They will not tell us. They will tell us it was ingested from the web. And in fact, I think ChatGPT's main reason of just capping the data to I used to be 2021, now it's 2022, is because they almost have this pre-era of generative AI and post-era. So a lot of the data before generative AI was a little more accurate, a little more human generated, but everything post AI has been flooded by a content from AI. So it's really hard for the model itself to kind of identify the best breed of content to give you that. Although they are working on this kind of problem, it's really an issue. It's not that they don't have the bandwidth to consume and update the data to 2003. It's that one main issue before anything else. So they operate in black box. We don't know exactly how they arrived to the decision they arrived in, and we're just literally at the mercy of the model itself. Unless you train the model really well on your own data set, you're most likely going to have some of the prompts and the responses and your user experience process be biased or unclear, or you don't know how it came about. Okay. All right, so training your own models, I think, is the way to go, and there are lots of solutions that work only on your data set and turning that into a model, just like we showed you the example in Viva support that relies on your own documentation. There could be unintended consequences of using AI. Literally, sometimes answers can be very wacky or unrelated. So if you're not using your own brain and you're offloading that entirely to AI, it could be problematic. And I know for us, maybe this is too obvious, but trust me, I've seen people and spoken to teachers and people at a workspace where they said, I can't believe this person just emailed me and copy pasted an entire ChatGPT response, which had those shortcodes not pre-filled. It's silly. So just be aware of that. It's a problem. It's only going to get worse. People can just copy paste without looking at the content. Okay. Now, if you're a company and you're heavily utilizing this, you might want to create some internal policies around using it and deploying it in terms of communication with customers. You can perhaps, not allow any web pages to be launched if they are AI generated without it being adopted to the brand and approved by, someone, for example. So I've seen some companies work with add an extra layer of check on anything that's AI generated, where previously they didn't have that layer of check necessarily. Yeah. George, I don't know if I have any questions.
Yeah.
I see some here. You want me to read it?
Yeah, as you wish. If you want, I can read it for you as well.
All right, cool. So I think the first question was from Peter of how I generated the first prompt. I'm not sure, Peter, if you mean on DALL-E or which one. Let me see.
Yeah, it was DALL-E in ChatGPT, because after that he wrote wow.
Yeah, when you create a new chat at the top, when you hover over GPT-4 paid feature, you should see some of these if they were rolled out on your accounts. Okay, so you choose DALL-E and then you parse the command. Okay, and it gave me the code for some of this stuff. Of course, it's basic, but you can elaborate on it and literally just go through the process of designing every single widget. All right. The second one was a presentation. I asked to generate the layout, and then eventually I asked it to write the VBA code. I think it's Visual Basic is what it stands for. And within your presentations, you can go to, there's an option to activate the developer tab by going to your account, actually more, I'm sorry, options, you customize your ribbons, and then you activate your developer right here. Now, once you do that, and again, there could be some issues here. I can say macro or Visual Basic. So if I click on macros, I can copy the exact code from there to populate whatever I had here. I don't know why it disappeared, but I think I had the presentation here. There we go. Copy code. Okay, I think I need to create here. Sorry, guys. Just these are small things. I gotta say insert a module, and I can save it. Presentation 1. Okay, again, these are very small details, and so this is the code for it. Then I can come back here and I can run this. Okay, there are some issues, and you see this, but I can go back to ChatGPT. I can tell them there's an error time, whatever, on this line. Can you please debug? And it creates for me the entire format. So it created only 2, but there was an error. So it's not perfect. Okay. So hopefully I answered that question extensively. All right, let me go back to my presentation. All right, thank you everybody for your patience on this. All right, so John is saying I use AI for idea, outlines, and answers. That's great to create the final content. Absolutely, I agree. Is that loss of customer trust perceived or measured? I mean, I would say both, Dave. You can measure customer trust by many things: churn, attrition, kind of the retention. So although right now I think customer trust is, we're in the early phases of mass adopting this, but you tell me, if you are to interact with a chatbot all the time and getting the answers from the chatbot, how would you feel? Would you feel like you're being communicated via human? Would you prefer it better? And this is something that's probably perceived. Shane is asking, one worrying fact is that at this time, you really have to be an expert in the subject area already to identify, yes, the AI hallucinations. That's a good point, Shane. If you don't know how to code, you just blind copied the code, you're going to have to go through the debugging and the issues, you might get frustrated. So you need to be, understanding that this code is bad. If you are, I don't know, creating content on peace in the Middle East and you're not kind of well versed about it, any content will be okay for you. But if you are expert, then you understand this copy is shit, So I agree with you. All right, Shane is also saying by going by some of the vision demos online, it looks like you can ask DALL-E for a UI mockup and then ask Vision GPT-4 to write the code for the UI image. Yes, that's true. That's what I was showing before. All right, and Dave is saying, I would prefer fast, accurate answers from chatbot versus taking 5-10 minutes with a live human. Yes, I agree with you in some cases. But in support, usually you might need to escalate, right? I need somebody to look at my issue right now and change, certain things, which will be limits to what chatbot can do, depending on the app. Or, my campaign went out and I want somebody to tell me why my campaign had, wrong information in it. Who's accountable for that? And this comes up to, obviously from an unintended consequences, this could happen. And content recommendation might have misinformation. Maybe your team executed a command, created an email copy about the peace in the Middle East, 500 keywords, and blasted, and the data was inaccurate. That could happen. So keeping an eye and proofing the content that comes out from AI. If you're pushing data, if you're pushing copy, if you're designing web pages, I think is really key at this stage. So it's not fully autonomous, not fully automated. It's actually, it involves some human interaction. And I actually got my hand on this. I don't know if I have it here. I might have lost it, sorry. I lost the image, but I had a little kind of outline of where we are in the scope of things, being completely manual to fully autonomous. We are probably in the middle between a hybrid of automated and manual kind of approval to things. So where does the accountability fall, right? Who's accountable for the mistakes that are made by adopting AI? It's a big question. A lot of companies are actually putting together teams that are accountable for the mistakes in AI. And these companies are putting laws or processes in place to limit the use of these tools within an organization. Because everybody knows that sometimes one mistake for a big brand could cost billions of dollars in market share, or millions of dollars for smaller 500 companies, or in our case could be thousands of dollars. Right? If I put any post right now generated by AI in favor of one party versus the other, I might have about 20 clients leaving because they're unhappy, or they feel like my answer was biased. So who's responsible? Companies that are allocating people at the organization level to be delegating processes and how they use AI. Okay. A lot of companies or people are saying that some of the cons of of using AI is the high cost of creation of model, increased unemployment because people are getting fired. People are getting less and less creative because relying on AI, which could be true. Lacking improvement. People are not trying better because they're not being criticized. Oh, I didn't create this. It was AI generated. So I'll generate another copy. And finally, there's no human replication. It's just machines copying from machines. This is a really nice chart from IntelliPath, by the way. All right. Job displacement and economic impact is one of the downfalls. And, in terms of estimated net job by industry sector and how it's changing the job market, in health and scientific and technical and communication, hospitality, these cannot be easily replaced. However, when you go to more like administration and finance and insurance and stuff like that, that require some repetitive, templated decision making, these are the ones that are getting the most hit. So it definitely can lead to job displacement. If you are, in my opinion, not necessarily in high-level jobs. If you are doing very basic answers to chat, yes, maybe your job is going to be challenged in the next, in the immediate few months to a year. If you're a doctor, doctors are using AI, but they're not using it to replace their processes. They're using it to create post-procedure analysis, to create, draft letters to management or to their, ER administrators. So they're using it, but they cannot be replaced. Now, finally, the impact on the workforce, provide training and retraining opportunities. So instead of laying people off, maybe you train them on how to use these different tools to optimize the go-to-market, the prototyping, the customer persona, the research. So all these things can be also done easier. Sorry about the background. You have manipulation and misuse of data where, AI can have malicious purposes or could be designed to have malicious intent and purposes. Some people are using them in deepfakes to spread misinformation. People are getting clips like my voice and using it to generate a voice with me and any content really with, like I showed you my face speaking, which was pretty ridiculous. But eventually that deepfake could get better and better. And it's not only that deepfakes has been there for a few years already, but it's more the ease of accessibility. Okay, before you needed to, know a little bit of coding, you need to adopt some libraries, go to the dark web. But now literally it's just you load up a URL and you can create any deepfake that you want. Okay. Also, if these tools get hacked, who is controlling those tools? And who are making those decisions? Is it government? Is it an entity? How this entity is regulated? Is it biased? Does it have its own agenda? Or is it kind of governed by blockchain? Like, there are so many kind of questions to the misuse of these things. So it's critical to have a proper safeguard in place to understand that AI is not, the end result. You need the human intervention. You need human creation. It's not going to replace jobs. It could make jobs better. Or it could make jobs better, but it will take some. And finally, when it comes to the whole UI, UX experience along with AI, I think it's going to take product managers, product designers, from ideation to go-to-market and product. I would assume it's going to cut off about 50% of their workload to get there, which means a lot of products will come your way soon. So this is it. Would love to hear some of any final feedback before we wrap up. All right, so it seems like everybody, Raphael, thank you. Yes, we will share those slides, by the way, including the video recording. If you have any questions about AI, please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I'll put in my LinkedIn in the chat. LinkedIn, or you probably have my email, so I can send you my email. rich@vbot.com. Happy to answer. Okay.
Raphael asked, sorry, Richard. Go ahead.
So Raphael is asking, what is the most compelling, most time-saving AI feature in VBot now? I love predictive email sending because it doubled and in some cases tripled open rates. It's a VBot built AI predictive modeling. It's not relying on third party. The second one is the command line. I love it because before I used to have to send my commands to somebody, but now I can type in the chat, can you create content about XYZ? And then can you schedule for this day? Or can you add contact with first name and last name to this list? and I can do it from Vbot, I can do it from ChatGPT. This is the second one. I think it's really, really powerful. So look us up in the marketplace. All you got to do, just obviously go to your plugins, click here, plugin store, and you can type in email. We were the first to be in this repo, email marketing. Now we have 2 of them, but we were the first to launch. And you can install the plugin, connect the API, and you should be good to go. I really like this feature because it leverages everything you're doing here on top of Vbot. So you can ask whatever you want. You can create presentations, content, copy, and send it to Vbot. All right. Going back to this real quick. And I think we covered pretty well. What do you guys think? Was this helpful to everybody? All right. It seems like, thank you, Raphael. Thank you, everyone. Obviously, we are here to help you adopt AI in your marketing. If you'd like to book a demo with us, George will put a link in the chat. You can have a personalized demo, see how Vbot can fit your needs. I want to thank everybody that joined us today. I know you put in an hour of your time or as much minutes as you gave to us. So thank you. We hope to keep bringing these learnings to you. And we'll have another one next month, the second Wednesday of every month. So keep on the lookout on our Facebook group for that. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, George, for helping and for the content. And I look forward to seeing you on our upcoming meeting. All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.